You know the feeling, you're rushing out the door, running late, and that drive-through breakfast just calls your name. It's warm, it's fast, and hey, it feels like a lifesaver on a busy morning.
But have you ever stopped for a second mid-bite and just thought, what am I actually eating here? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to peel back that wrapper and really dig into the science and secrets behind your go-to morning meal.
So first up, let's break down the absolute king of the fast food breakfast menu, the classic sandwich. It looks simple enough, right? Egg, cheese, meat, and bread. But you're about to see that simple is probably the last word you'd use to describe what's really going on.
Okay, let's start with the egg. Now, some places do use fresh cracked eggs, which is great. But a lot of the time, you're getting a pre-formed egg patty. And this thing isn't just egg. Oh no, it's a whole blend of ingredients, engineered to be perfect every single time. We're talking citric acid to keep the color bright, and things like xanthan gum to make sure it holds that perfect, flawless circular shape. Honestly, it's less of a scramble and more of a science experiment.
And what about the cheese? That perfect gooey melt that never gets oily or weird? That is no accident. It's what's known as a processed cheese product, and it's specifically formulated with stabilizers like sodium citrate to make sure it melts beautifully without ever separating. Plus, preservatives give it an incredibly long shelf life. It's a cheese slice designed for total consistency, not for a fancy cheese board.
Now for the meat. That juicy sausage patty has a lot more going on than just pork. It's often enhanced with things like dextrose, which is a type of sugar, for a hint of sweetness, and sodium phosphates to make sure it stays moist. And hey, if you're a bacon person, you're also getting a dose of sodium nitrate, a preservative that gives the bacon that signature pink color and keeps it from going bad.
And finally, the bread that's holding this whole thing together. Whether it's a fluffy biscuit or a toasted English muffin, it is built to last. It's got dough conditioners to create that soft, pillowy texture, and preservatives like calcium propionate to fight off mold, which is why it stays fresh for way, way longer than the bread you have at home.
So when you put it all together, what do you get? Well, your simple little 4-part breakfast sandwich can have over 40 different ingredients packed into it. All of a sudden, it doesn't seem quite so simple, does it?
And believe me, the complexity doesn't stop with the sandwich. Let's pull back the curtain on some of those other tempting side items you might grab. You know that incredible, perfect crunch on a fast food hash brown? Well, the secret is that it gets fried twice. First, it's partially fried at a factory, then it's frozen and shipped, and then it's dropped in the fryer again, right at the restaurant. And to make it even better, they add things like dextrose for that perfect golden brown color and, get this, sometimes even natural beef flavor for an extra savory kick. Yep, beef flavor in your potato.
And that little tub of syrup you get for your pancakes? Yeah, let's not confuse that with real maple syrup. What you're pouring is almost always a mix of corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, water, and some caramel color, all brought together with a dash of artificial maple flavoring.
All right, so you're thinking, I'll just skip all that and get the healthy option, oatmeal. That's a safe bet, right? Well, even this seemingly simple breakfast has a few tricks up its sleeve. The oats themselves are pretty straightforward, but it's the toppings where things get a little tricky. The little container of cream can have stabilizers in it, the dried fruit often has extra sugar added, and if you dump that whole packet of brown sugar in, you can basically turn your healthy start into something with the sugar content of a candy bar. So there's a pretty clear theme here. There's this whole toolkit of unseen ingredients working behind the scenes. Let's just quickly shine a light on a couple of the most common ones you'll find. So first up is sodium nitrate. You'll find this guy in cured meats, like your bacon. It's a kind of salt that does two really important jobs. First, it stops nasty bacteria from growing, and second, it locks in that familiar pinkish red color we all associate with bacon.
Next, we've got calcium propionate. This is a super common preservative you'll find in the muffins, the biscuits, pretty much any of the baked goods. Its main job is to stop mold and bacteria from growing, which is the real reason that bun can stay so soft and seem so fresh for so long.
Look, these ingredients are all part of a much bigger system. From preservatives that give food a crazy long shelf life to stabilizers that perfect the texture, every single one has a very specific job. This isn't really about them being good or bad. It's about understanding that your food is literally engineered for consistency and convenience, so it can travel across a massive supply chain. Now, the point of all this isn't to scare you or make you swear off your favorite breakfast sandwich forever. Not at all. It's about empowerment. Because when you know what you're eating, you can make choices that feel right for you.
So, what are the big things to keep in mind? Well, just be aware of the really high sodium levels. Keep an eye out for hidden sugars in places you wouldn't expect, like the bread or even the meat. And just remember the high fat content, especially with anything that's been fried. Those are pretty much the main things to keep on your radar.
But here's the good news. Tiny little changes can make a huge difference. You can always ask if a real cracked egg is an option. You could skip the processed cheese, hold back on the sugary syrup, or just be a little more thoughtful about what toppings you're adding to that oatmeal. Every little bit really does help.
At the end of the day, it's totally okay to enjoy a fast food breakfast every once in a while. It's all about moderation. The real power move is just knowing what's actually on your plate.
So there you have it, a peek inside your fast food breakfast. Now, I really want to hear from you. What's another food you're curious about? What should we unwrap next? Let me know in the comments below.